Boys, be honest. What do you not tell girls about sex? Story 1. That they, or any woman, is bad in bed even once. There are so many women that seem to be under the impression that showing up is enough. Conversely, I always find it comical that that seems to be a go-to for women. Either they tell they're so that they are horrible in bed for whatever reason, size seems to be a favorite, or they tell they're so how their exes, we're so horrible in bed for whatever reason. Story 2. Man, if I could be on top and thrust into my partner, I'd do it for way longer. I know it isn't easy for you guys, and it's gotta be serious exercise. And I know it must suck to be the only one taking their turn on top. But lifting your whole body up and down, forward and backwards, while literally on top of someone else with your legs on either side of their legs' hips, it's a different kind of exertion. Story 3. That most of the time the guy is stressing the fuck out because 100% of the pressure is on us. Be big enough, get hard, stay hard, don't finish too early or too late, do enough foreplay. Figure out exactly what this particular person likes. Angles, positions, it goes on. Seriously, I don't understand how any guy ever enjoys sex. Feels more like an audition. Get it perfect or get cast aside for the next one. Story 4. Kissing is a real issue. Touching someone with your lips is like sensing someone with your hands, violently grabbing someone and pushing that person around is not a way I want to get to know a person. And damn, keep your tongue leashed before you've tested the grounds. And yes, lips are flexible muscles, don't just press them on someone. Feel your lips softly, feeling the touch. Observe reaction, like in a dance. Story 5. Every guy is different. I've met quite a few guys I couldn't get off with blowjobs, but absolutely could with a handjob. But I've also had the opposite. Explore your body and be free to communicate. Each guy has a particular style of BJ he likes. Does he like rough or sensual? Does he prefer more focus at the tip with hand action at the shaft, or full-on deep throat fascifying? Or a mixture? It's all relative to the person. Story 6. There's really no need to be shy. We're there because we want to be there. Unless there's something really over the top that you do and you haven't told us beforehand, we're okay with whatever it is that you're doing. And even then, just tell us and we'll be cool with it 95% of the time. Being shy about giving BJs or about us seeing your body or hearing you or anything like that is almost always 10x worse than just doing it. Story 7. So true. I was getting the greatest BJ I had ever received, and I was about to finish but couldn't. It was like my body tiptoed right up to the finish line, but suddenly refused to finish. It was so unbelievably disappointing. Needless to say, she was pissed. I had to tell her multiple times that it was the antidepressants. Clarification: she was not upset at me for not finishing. She was upset that she couldn't get me there. Story 8. Sometimes the little guy don't want to stand up, and it has nothing to do with you. You could be the most beautiful and amazing woman, and still he won't. It's what I'm most insecure about, because the usual view is men are always ready and horny all the time, which is not true. But it puts a heavy weight above one's head, which becomes a bad spiral. I might have a lot on my mind or feeling a bit down that day, or I'm just nervous. Story 9. That I'm also too tired and have a headache, but am certainly not gonna let that stop me. It often helps me forget my headache, and after sex, sleep cuddling together is much nicer than try to fall asleep with a headache sleep. Also, as I get older, there develops a thinner and thinner line between too soon since last time, so getting going or finishing is difficult, and too long since last time, so I'm not gonna last long at all. Story 10. I'm not a man, but the last time I was with a woman, we had been so excited to sleep together for the first time. One of us had had a cold sore, then one of us got sick, so it didn't happen right away, and when we did, she was not appetizing. It made me so sad and I felt so bad. But we actually ended up in a time crunch anyway, so we stopped and I was spared. We didn't stay together much longer at all, so I never had to tell her. Story 11. As someone who loves going down on a woman, it is heartbreaking if she smells awful down there, if it's not clean, if it's not maintained. I shave too. And I can't say anything because that'd be super rude. Luckily I have only ever had this happen once, but I will never forget it. Also, if oral isn't doing it for you, please say something so we can give our muscles a break. Tongue jaw gets tired over time, and I like being able to breathe. Story 12. I mean, if she actually smelled awful in a fish rotting thing way, she very likely had a bona fide infection like bacterial vaginosis down there. And you aren't exactly doing her any favors by not saying anything, since she needs to get on antibiotics. Shaving is not worth it for a lot of folks. I get massive horrible cysts down there the size of a quarter. I think most dudes would much rather deal with hair than a gaping angry wound. Story 13. Most times after I cum, my brain boots back up. During sex it goes into primal mode, and I think about just the sex. After it's like a dam has broken. That means I end up having 1,000 thoughts at once. Tasks which I need to complete, that thing I need to fix, etc. I usually cuddle you instead of being productive because I love you, but I'd rather be getting shit done. That isn't because I don't love you. It's just what my brain is doing. Story 14. If you're trying to initiate sex, don't just go right for the dick while it's soft. Some of us are growers, not showers, and the thought of you touching it in its turtle phase is uncomfortable and embarrassing. However, if you're the type that won't react weirdly to it, communicate that emphatically and convince us to let you do it anyway, and we'll let you grab it soft and make it hard anytime you want. And we'll be putty in your hands forever. Story 15. That honestly, sex can be a little anxiety-provoking sometimes. So much is dependent on us and our abilities and performance. At least in a conventional heteronormative relationship, expectations are super high, whereas I don't think they are quite as high for women. I hold myself to a high standard and want to give you some of the best experiences of your life. It helps a lot if you bring as much passion and effort in this moment we are co-creating. Story 16. Girls, you are never going to be able to give a worthwhile handjob. We've been at this longer than you want to know. You can't spank that monkey better than we can. You don't have to suck it if you don't want to, but there are other things you can do. You can touch it, of course, stroke it, cup the balls, etc., but don't bother going for gold, as you ain't even gonna get a participation medal. Also, and I'm not speaking for all men here, feet aren't out of the question. Story 17. One thing we won't tell you if we are a gentleman, but when we are going down on you, there are for sure little pieces of toilet paper hanging around that we can those two either flick away in the moment or just roll the dice, and if you eat it, you eat it. We say nothing about this because A, that's what was agreed upon at the secret guy meetings, B, because the last thing we want to do is in any way make you feel self-conscious about your body when you're already so vulnerable. Story 18. Sometimes it's boring, or I'm too grumpy or depressed to fuck, and having to maintain an erection when you're bored or distracted is like trying to keep a terrible secret. I do it anyways because you want it, and also because maybe I can convince myself that this is fun. That's how I approach most things, because otherwise I'd just sit in my room all day. Relatedly, sex is about spiritual, existential, and deep psychic satisfaction or dissatisfaction, and it's true for guys too. Story 19. There are times we lose a boner because we are too nervous about keeping ourselves hard during sex. Also worried about cooming. At one point I thought I had erectile dysfunction, but it was really just the anxiety getting to me. To fix this, I started incorporating toys and more foreplay into sexual activity. and it not only improves the experience for the woman, it makes you feel more confident. So when it gets to the actual intercourse, it's pretty damn satisfying for both parties. Story 20. Please clean your butt and your crack right before, not just a few hours before. We're not going to know how to tell you that the smell is sometimes difficult, lol. You probably won't even know it exists because you're not right behind yourself, but it happens. For the front side, please rinse the soap really well. Performance anxiety is real, as is general exhaustion. It's unfortunate, but sometimes things like this on top of that can make it that much harder for us to perform. Story 21. My ex thought foreplay meant literally just putting her hand on my dick while we were watching a Netflix, and expecting me to drop everything and ravage her on the spot. I was like, yeah, it's nice and I enjoy having you fondle me, but I'm 36 and exhausted from work, not 16 and pent up from school. You can play with my cock for the rest of the movie, and I won't stop you. But it's not going to automatically put me in the mood, seduce me. Don't just grab my dick like it's an on switch. Story 22. Sometimes I have to concentrate really hard to cum. Like I will enjoy sex and swap positions and go with it for as long as I can. But if I go over a certain length of time, I lose some sensitivity in my penis. And if that happens, cumming isn't always possible. Especially if we are very sexually active. After 10+ mens, I will have to find that spot and focus on it really hard, which is probably what my cum face is. If it's successful, I'll finish. If not, it's all you. Story 23. Virgin, it's okay that you are an aerospace cruise operator. Audio. One day, you might find an opportunity that suits you and end up in a fulfilling air-to-air relationship. Just be you. Don't be scared to find friendship in the sex you crave. Just be respectful and honorable. Everything else is luck in finding the right person. The hardest part is knowing that you will get tons of no thank you before you get one. Yes please, please yes. Fuck me hard. Yes please. Fuck me hard. Story 24. Testicles are extremely delicate, so instead of mashing your fucking hands on them while giving head or jerking me off, just placing your hand on the balls is plenty, and it feels great. Stop applying pressure or moving your hand on my balls, it's pretty unpleasant. Some people might like to have their balls knocked around, but then I've also heard of people putting ice cubes up their ass, or enjoying getting whipped. I feel like most people don't like their testicles mashed around. Story 25. I just wish literally any partner I've been with would be the ones who initiate without me having to do it. I'm so tired of having to play the guessing game if they're into it or not. And then when I give them space because it's been a month with me being the only initiator and I feel like a predator, because they don't seem to want it unless I do, I go weeks without being touched. I'm sick of it. Literally every woman I've been with but one, and guess what? She's the one I miss most. Story 26. That's why I have fingers and a tongue, and why vibrators exist. Still want her to cum, ideally a couple times, before I do. If that means she cums before the actual fucking even starts, then that's what we're gonna do. If she can't fuck after cumming, then I guess she's getting head. Then I'm getting a cuddly hand job, or cranking one out in the shower on my own. The key thing, for me personally, is her having fun and hopefully cumming. But then I really get off on that, so maybe I'm just weird. Story 27. For some of us, it's all about what you say, and the way you sound, and the noises, moans, coos, and the correct amount of dirty talk is a sorely underrated skill. You don't need to be a crazy ravenous porn whore, but don't be a field mouse either. We're here to enjoy ourselves. Let it all hang out. Tell me how it feels. Let loose, repeat yourself. Grunt. Lol, I constantly have things I ask my wife to say THST I think are sexy, cute, mind-blowingly erotic. Talk is not cheap when it comes to sex.